Okay, so what's our first topic?
Okay, so there's actually a bunch here that we're talking about today. There's one that I see brought up time to time, which is the quest storm the beaches. How it what do you think of the quest and the ballista mechanic in that quest? Because this person posted today and was talking about, they're clearly like a new player or just a more casual player, and they were getting one shotted by the ballistas. Do you think that's okay, or do you think it should be like lower on normal difficulty? And there's actually a developer, actually Cordovan, responded to this thread and gave kind of an interesting response. But what do you think about that mechanic? Do you think it should be, because it's kind of an outlier? Do you think it should be like lower on normal, or do you think it's okay that it one shots?
I think that there's not enough of a tell. Listen, if you have a gigantic boss, if you face off against a dragon and you one shots you, it's kind of like, there should be some indication that something's going to happen when you look at it. So if you're looking at some kind of something who's unassuming, who's usually just a piece of the scenery, if you do the heroic version, it does absolutely nothing to you. It just sits there. Then on the epic, it can kill you with one shot. That's not fair. The thing should be like glowing red and like sparks coming off of it, and there should be a gigantic roundup to it, and then kill you with one shot. That would be fair, or not kill you one shot, but having it. Ha- ha- Imagine walking into a quest and stepping next to a crate who blows up and kills you for 5,000 damage.
Yeah,
People would be furious, right? Because there's no
yeah,
indication. But if the crate was a big glowing red crate that started to make shaking noises and went off, and then if you stood there for 3 minutes waiting for it, too many seconds, forget it, and the thing blew up. So yeah, so I think there's just not enough tell. It's just unassuming, and it feels out of place. People are treating it like it's just like a breakable from the heroic quest, and then the thing kills them in one shot.
yeah. Well, what about on normal specifically, like on normal difficulty? I mean, do you think it's okay that it one shots on that difficulty?
I don't think there should be anything who shot one shots you on normal.
Yeah, that's
No,
what I think. I think they should probably, like, I'm okay with it one shotting on elite and higher, but on normal it should not. Like normal should be like easy. And it's weird because it is an outlier, and I'll go down to Cordovan's response because he talked about this a bit, that they know it's an outlier. Let's see if I can find his response. Yeah, here we go. So Cordovan says, Epic Storm the Beaches has long been an outlier when it comes to damage output from ballistas. It is worth keeping in mind that the actual mechanic, as intended, is to have you sneak or otherwise manage your way carefully to the ballistas, then destroy them. So they are intended to essentially one-shot you. Since you aren't supposed to put them in a position to get one-shotted, you are doing it right. And he says using CCs on a distance on NPCs, for example, is a way to prevent them from firing. But he then says this ideal hasn't quite matched the reality of either how the ballistas work or how players actually want to play the quest. And yeah, and it's also just not consistent with other content, because normal is usually like sleepwalk easy, the majority of the time. So it's very strange. And I guess thematically it makes sense because ballistas are, they're supposed to be these devices that take out ships, but they don't. So when you get shot by them, they should, like, I guess from a lore perspective, do a lot of damage. But it just is not really practical, and it's one of those punishing mechanics to where if you're like, because I understand where they're coming from, the original poster, because if you're a new player and you just walk into this quest, like you're not gonna like understand what's going on. You're just gonna get one shot and then get frustrated. So it's like if you don't know the quest, like what are you supposed to do? And there's a lot of players, like all the responses, the initial ones, like 90% of them are like, well, you need to walk up the path around the back, or do this, or approach them this way. But it's like it's kind of besides the point. It's like that's not really relevant to what the poster is talking about, which is this, just the damage disparity between this quest and other quests.
yeah. So I
Yeah.
think two things. Basically, a normal make it so it doesn't do that much damage. I think it's just too much. And the other thing is it should be a tell. So maybe either make, what they could do? They could add like those circles that you can get on you when somebody's targeting you, like the boss who does I forgot his name, that little hobgoblin boss who targets you with his arrow. So there should be like a target on you, so you know something's about to happen, like really bad, and you know to run. Versus like not being aware of it at all, because you can just like peer over the edge and get blasted, and it's terrible.
Yeah, what I always do is I always just go up the back path. and approach them from behind and just range them with a, even if I'm on a melee, like with a thrower or something. So that's what I always do. But yeah, it's just the whole thing is a new player isn't going to realize, like, know what to do there. But it sounds like from Cordovan's response, they kind of know it's a problem. So I wouldn't be surprised if they adjusted at some point, and they probably should just on normal. And again, like, I'm fine with like really punishing mechanics like that, but I don't think on normal you should really have to understand the mechanics of the quest in order to just get through it. I'm actually curious how much they do. I don't know if I've ever run it on casual, but I wonder what kind of damage they do on casual if it's still one shots. I don't know if you have any idea. Do you have any idea?
I think it does, and the main problem is it's AOE. So even if it doesn't hit you directly, it can blow up right next to you and still give you all the damage. Um, so yeah, that's a little bit of a problem.
Yeah. So
I think the reason why this is so infuriating, I mean, the truth why it's so infuriating, is because you can spend like 20 minutes before you actually see the first ballista, and then to get one shot and be out of range of a shrine, and that really grinds your gears
yeah,
because now you're annoyed. You just spend all this time sneaking around. I don't know. You go up the back path with all the wild men. You clear everything out. You finally make your top. Then you sneak over the first corner, get one shot, and you're like, "What the heck is this?" I have to restart
yeah,
the quest.
yeah. I understand that. Yeah, it's always it's infinitely more frustrating if you actually get through, like, if you dump a significant amount of time into a quest and then you fail. It's like the reason why I would always get really frustrated when I'm running like a raid, like the Shadow Dragon raid or something in Thunderholm, where it's like it takes forever to get to the end and then you can't get the dragon. A party can't get the dragon to stand on the platform and to pull the lever at the same time, and we fail. It can be really frustrating, more frustrating than if you run something like, I don't know, the new raid where it's like, okay, you fail, but okay, you put 2 minutes in the quest, who cares? But
Yeah, very
yeah,
punishing mechanics at the end of very long quests. Just double down on the amount of punishment. It's one of the reasons why people can't stand things like Titan Awakes, is because it's hard to learn, but it's after you have to first complete, Twilight Forge, and having it spending the time penalty and then eating it at the end just makes it like everybody's like, forget this, we don't need this. So yeah,
exactly.
I think that's what this quest is really doing. It's one-shotting you after you spent lots of time in the quest.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens with that one. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if they actually modify that at some point. So, all right. Well, the next one I saw from today was something they really need to add into the game, which is something that in the character sheet they have the ability to track what tomes you've eaten. So like stat tomes, and you can even hover your mouse over the stat in the character sheet or the skill sheet.
Yeah, this needs to be added.
Yeah,
This
so
is straight up needs
yeah.
to be added.
And I even did a video on this like a month or two ago, like showing people how to calculate. But yeah, Tomes of Destiny,
Yeah, I
like, it's
watched it.
really confusing for people to see. I've seen a lot of posts like this to know what tomes that they've eaten when it comes to Destiny points, because there's several different tomes, and there's a historic tome, there's a Feywild tome, there's tomes of fate. I don't think any of
I got a
those.
bunch of tomes and I'm afraid to use them
Yeah,
because I don't know if they stack, don't stack. Will they allow me to
yeah.
use them again? It's like, what, really? Just be clear about it.
Into the yeah,
Transparency.
into the I think it's most likely, my theory is something that developers probably just overlooked, since it sounds like it would be really easy to overlook, but it's also kind of their fault because the system's so complicated that it's especially non-transparent in this case, because you have to actually do a bunch of math. It's not something where you can kind of easily look, but yeah, it's easy to see it's easy to forget what you've eaten. So yeah, and these are really pricey items as well. If you don't want to imagine eating one that you already had. Like, ugh, I would be
I'm
depressed.
secretly, yeah, I know. That's my fear. I'm secretly afraid that the developers messed it up in some way, that they're actually not sure what you spend it on yet. Then they themselves don't have an easy way of telling which tomes you took. So that way they can't just easily fix it, and they themselves are not sure. And in which case this is like way more messed up. But I really hope that's not the case.
Like, well, you would think that. I mean, I know it's working properly. I did calculate it for my characters, and I ate a what is it? I ate a +3 fate tome. I pulled a +3 fate tome on hardcore servers, like the big thing I pulled from a gold roll, I think it was. and I transferred that to my main character, and I did do the math. It worked. Everything works out okay, and so I mean, if it's working in the game, there must be a way to show. I'm not a coder, but there must be a way to show it. There has to be some way, since it is functioning correctly in the game. So yeah, hopefully they add that at some point.
Yeah, it needs to be added.
Let's see. Oh yeah. So I don't know if I talked to you about this. What do you think about Tabaxi? Like, were you happy to see that added as a race, or do you not care, or did you want to see something else? Because I've seen some people bring up this in the forums. This poster in particular says, "Please don't give us a cat race. We already have shifters." That was kind of my thought on this initially. When I initially heard it, I had the same reaction, just because Tabaxi is also a race that fights with claws, although technically I think shifters are more of a canine race where cats are more feline, but it's still a similar kind of thing. It's like they're fighting with claws. Yeah, like I wanted something else. Like I would have liked to see Goliath or lizard folk or no, or not gnome. We have gnome. I meant to say kobold or like half giant, or someone mentioned half ogre in this thread. What I want to see is some kind of like monstrous strength based race. That's what I want to see next. But what do you think?
I'm personally, I don't care that much. It's more about the execution of whatever they add. So I don't care if they add Tabaxi or whatever it's called, but if they do a good job and people want to play it and it's fun, so then I'm all for it. I don't care. They added shifter. I'm not all. I don't care about it. It just means nothing to me. So as far as I'm concerned, if Tabaxi ends up being better than shifters, then it's a win because
Yeah,
they added something that I didn't care about. They had something. If they can get me to care about it, I'm happy. But I'm not going to automatically hate on it just because it's similar to something else. I
yeah.
mean, people.
Well,
There's many
yeah,
similar races, and people only pay like one of them. Like there's like people. There's half elves and elves, and there's a lot of people who only play like one of them, even though they're kind of similar. I mean, so what? Just because it's similar doesn't mean anything.
yeah. Well, and it's not. I would say it's not hating on it just to say that. Well, I would have rather seen something else, and I understand why they're doing it. They're doing it because Isle of Dread apparently has in the lore. Rakasha is in Isle of Dread, and I guess the thought was that Tabaxi are similar to Rakasha, and I'm just speculating at this point, but I assume that since Tabaxi's 5e, that Wizards of the Coast wanted them to do like a 5e race. That's my assumption. So I understand why they picked it. It kind of goes along with Isle of Dread, being similar to Rakasha, being a cat-like race, being a 5e race, but I would have liked to see something different, but I'm sure some players will like it. But yeah,
I get
I
the
can't.
logic behind what they selected. Again, I don't care so much
Yeah,
for what pushed them there. I just want to see them execute it really good. If
yeah,
if it becomes a new race that everybody wants to play because it's really fun and it does whatever it does really good. It's got a good racial tree. I don't care whatever it is that makes it special. That's actually good about it. So then it was good. I don't care. I'm gonna wait and see.
hmm
That's why I'm not. Yeah, I think that if they
oh
had a
yeah,
clean slate with no reasons whatsoever, they should pick the thing that fills the best niche that's not covered yet. So we already have kind of cat-like kind of thing, so maybe we should go for something else. Again, if you have a clean slate, they had a reason they went to the back. See, I don't, whatever. I'm fine with it.
yeah, and we'll see when it comes out, see how good it is. And I'm not making any judgments either, as in terms of how good it is, just from a thematic standpoint. I would have liked to see something else, but like I said, I understand why they're choosing this, and it could be, maybe I'll love it when it comes out. Maybe I'll give it a try. I know some of the previous races they've done, I haven't been motivated to even. I haven't spent much time playing, like let's see, Shifter, or a lot of the more recent races, just because they haven't really excited me as much. But we'll see. We'll see what the tree looks like. We'll see what their special features are. I know it's gonna be something dex based, and those aren't builds I normally run. But we'll see. Maybe I'll try it. I guess we could talk about the recent augments. Have you used any of the new augments that they added with the new augment vendor, Randall Lyric?
I don't think I've actually spent any. I don't think I've actually bought any augments from the augment vendor.
Yeah, I bought a few of them because I just put together a minimum level 20 gear set, but yeah, there's a lot. They're actually pretty cheap too in terms of shards. I think they're like It depends on the minimum level, but I think that minimum level 21s were like 30 something shards, so pretty reasonable. And you can turn in like the commendations or whatever the ingredient for that pack is as well. Although I will say it does take a lot of those ingredients, but still, I would say most players have just tons of them, especially when it comes to things like the Evening Star commendations saved up, and you need to spend some remnants as well. But yeah, I thought it was very reasonable. But there's one that it's funny because I saw this thread today. And I was like, I know people are gonna get confused about this one because there's an augment for deadly, but they called it the Topaz of Damage. So I was like, okay, and I had to look at it too because when it's called Topaz of Damage, it's like, okay, what type is it? But it is a competence bonus to damage, just like deadly is, so it doesn't stack. But yeah, someone asked today, it's like, does it stack with and that's a topic you see like all the time on the forums, people asking if stuff stacks. So people get confused about that a lot, the different types, but you just got to look at the specific type in the description. Is it competence? Is it insightful? Is it quality? Whatever. Just keep that straight. But I don't know. I saw this today. I thought it was kind of interesting.
Yeah, ongoing problem with DDO is not knowing if things stack or don't stack.
Exactly. And yeah, they could have they called it the Topaz of Damage. They should have just called it Topaz of Deadly. And they did the same thing. I think I think someone mentioned here in a comment about the sheltering augment as well. Yeah, I think the sheltering one is called Sapphire of Defense, like someone mentioned here. So that's a quick fix they could probably make. I think it would be just a slight improvement.
It should have one single name for every kind of thing, and that's it. Not give multiple names.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Speaking of the vendors, have you gone out to the desert? Have you gotten a ring of spell storing? Have you done anything with the sands vendor?
I ran out and got a ring, then realized I don't have enough sands ingredients.
Well, those are easy to get, so you'll be fine.
But I haven't been playing a lot, so I need to play some more.
Did you did you farm out the antique bronze tokens, or did you already have enough?
I didn't have that many because not so long before that I spent them all on just buying garbage loot so I could empty them out of my bank. I had a bajillion of them.
Yeah,
now I don't have any.
I had the same thing happen to me. Well, except I didn't spend them. I just threw them away. I had tons of them. And I remember years ago when I was cleaning out my bag, I just threw them all away because they've been pretty useless for the longest time. But yeah, I only had, when I went and looked, I had like 300 or so. So a little bit on Wednesday, no, it was Tuesday, I got on my fighter character and started farming some of them out. And it's interesting because I made a video today on this.
I watched it.
Oh, you did? Okay. But yeah, it's interesting because this also brings into account the treasure bag issue, which I've seen some people comment about, because some treasure bags are just, they're there, but like in Wizard King, they're there, but if you click on them, nothing happens. And I saw Cordovan on a Wednesday live stream talk about this a little bit, and I'm still confused on this, what's actually intended, but it seems like from what Cordovan said is the bags themselves shouldn't be dropping. So the problem is, it's not that the bags are empty, it's that the bags themselves are still dropping. I'm assuming, and this is a guess, but my guess is that they only want the antique bronze tokens dropping in the heroic quest now, and then they want the epic ingredients to drop in the epic quest. So I think they're called desert crystals or something like that, crystallized,
yeah,
something like that.
Yeah.
I think they want those to drop in epics, and the antique bronze tokens only drop in heroic, because currently the tokens are dropping in the wilderness chests and from wilderness mobs and from mobs in certain quests. But I think it is also monster dependent, because some of the heroic walk-ups, because I was testing this, don't drop the treasure bags at all. So like what's the one just to the left of the entrance called? The one that has all the fire reavers in it? I don't remember the name of the quest offhand.
Yeah,
but
the one down at the bottom over there.
Yeah, so they drop planar.
Raid of Volcorum?
No, not that one. That's the one with all the scorpions, but the one just to the left, I think it's called shoot, I forget. Maybe someone in chat can post it. But that one basically only has fire reavers in the quest. and they drop
You
planar
mean
shards.
you mean try to purge the fallen shrine? That's to the right.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. The one where you just go through and you click on the shrines
So that,
essentially.
yeah, you step in and go right, right.
Yeah, and those are all like the only mobs in that quest I believe are the fire reaver or I'm sorry, I've been saying flesh renders I believe they are, and
Flesh renders,
in
fire
Memphis,
reavers, and caco demons.
and yeah, in Memphis as well are in that quest, and
You know what
they
caco demons are?
uh wait, that's like a Doom monster, isn't it?
There's caco demons. Some of those reavers are called caco
Oh, are
demons. I
they?
promise you.
Okay, that's awesome.
I'm not kidding.
Okay, that's also
I made a video about that quest, and I didn't believe my eyes until I was like,
they're called
"What?"
cacodemons. Okay, because I'm pretty sure that's the name of what. It's funny how that relates. I believe that's the same name that in the Doom games they use for the beholder looking
It is. It
monsters.
is.
Yeah.
It
Okay.
is.
Yeah.
I like Doom games, so I know.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's funny. But so I believe the treasure bags are also tied to the monster type. So like gnolls will drop them like pretty often. I noticed. I think the undead as well when you go to the northwest to the rares also can drop them like the liches and the arcane skeletons and stuff. So yeah, it seems to be tied to monsters. But anyways, I did test a lot of the heroic quests. So a lot of those do like the Desert Caravan and others. You can get antique bronze tokens that way, but the quickest way seems to be just to farm the wilderness chests. So, but it's not too hard. I've started working on it, so I'll have my ring of spell storing probably like in the next week or so. We'll see how much I end up farming that this weekend. All right. Well, I saw someone post. This is something I noticed when I was putting together my like epic gear set. A lot of the a lot of items with a lot of the different effects that had like a lower DC. So something like I know this effect is on the belt I just crafted. I don't remember the name of the effect, but a lot of these have like the heroic DCs were not brought up. Like they didn't raise the DCs on a lot of the like epified or legendarified gear from the Seal Scroll update. I don't know if you noticed this, but yeah, someone brought this up. But yeah, I don't know if that's because they just didn't have the time or if it was more balance concerns.
You have to check if it's just like individually, like one thing they missed, or just like an arc that's overall. All of items don't have their DCs upgraded or something. You'll have to check that out. But
Yeah,
it could be they just missed it. I
I
don't
wish
think it was intentionally.
Yeah, I wish I would have brought up some examples of gear before I did this, but I did notice it on some of the sands gear as I was going through past week on some of the wilderness loot. A lot of it, even if it's like a legendary version, still has like a guard with a DC of like 17 or something really low that
Yeah,
everyone's
I
gonna
think what happened is
save
they
against.
they upgraded like the mainstream effects. They went through like all of them, but there's so many sub effects and all
Yeah,
different like tiny minor effects that they just didn't get around to. And I guess they're gonna upgrade them as they go. I
and
hope.
some of them they did like anything DC based. It seems like a lot of I don't know if it was all, but a lot, most of them that I've seen, it seems like they didn't touch those, and they have the same DC guard that's on like a heroic version as an epic or legendary. But I did notice that some of like the damage guards that they did up those. That's something I did notice. So there's some of these sands that do like fire damage if you get hit on the enemy, like as a guard. But they did up the damage amounts, but the DCs they just didn't. So a lot of these have lower DCs in effect that really isn't going to do anything for you because these monsters are always going to save it, like on legendary against a 17 DC. So
Yeah. Somebody send Linabelle a tell and tell them to fix it. They'll go, okay.
someone bump this thread. This is an old thread. Petition to remove all flagging from quests. Yeah,
I kind of agree.
You
I
agree?
think that I think that
Okay.
flagging should be a mechanic that's more of an optional versus a must-have. I think that gating content by flagging. I mean, I get why the story reasons and stuff, blah blah blah. At the end of the day, it many times is just not fun, and the game is to have fun. So, and if you have to twist my hand to have fun, so then it's not fun. And I think that flagging just, make it so it's really rewarding if you flag. Fine. Make it that if I do the flagging, great things happen. Convince me to flag, but don't force me to flag. I think that it's never more fun once you are forced. somebody shoves a story down my face. So if you have to shove it down my face, then it's not a great story anyway. So I don't think that the flagging, the way it is right now, it's not good for the game. I don't see how it's good.
Well, I think it's reasonable to have some flagging. So, like, I don't know, like Curse of Strahd, you need to run the Ravenloft chain, but the really far out there flagging, like the Abbot flagging and stuff, that's just going too far. But I'm totally okay, and I think probably the best approach for them to do is to do like what they've done with a lot of the recent expansions. Like they did it with Sharn and Ravenloft. You have one release 2 raids, require no flagging for one, and probably make that one the more puggable one, and then the more like the other raid, probably the more serious, like longer, more difficult or more mechanic focused raid, make that require flagging for that one. I mean, it didn't. And there is story reasons, like it doesn't really make sense to go fight Strahd when you haven't gone through the whole story. And I personally, I'm probably an outlier, but I enjoy like going through the story and reading all the story, so I'm totally fine with it. The other thing is it also gives you reasons to play other quests. I guess you could view it as, hey, I'm just being forced, but it just makes sense to me.
Yeah, but think about it like this: would if they didn't force you personally, would you do the quest anyway?
Well, you aren't really forced. I mean, you don't have to run the raid. I mean, no one's forcing you
But
to run the
I
raid.
want to run the raid. You want to run the raid. Would you still do the quests if they didn't make the flagging required? Would you still run all the quests? I'm
I
talking
guess
about
it
you personally.
depends. Well, I mean, I definitely would at least. I mean, personally, I run every quest that comes out. So yeah, I still would.
You see, so what do you gain by the fact that they're forcing you to flag? You would have done it anyways.
I guess, but it's just it is a
There's two groups. There's the people who care about the storyline, the people who
well,
don't. The people
and
who
that's
care
the
will do
thing.
it anyway.
That's why I think like an approach that actually let's have one raid where you have to flag and one you don't makes sense. And I know a lot of people don't care about the story, but it is D&D, and story is always going to be an important part of the game, and that's just the way it is. If you don't want any story at all, like I understand that, but you don't have to read the dialogue boxes. But expecting there to be a progression through the quest and to the raid that makes sense from a storyline perspective, to me, just is an okay thing for the game to do. And as long as the flagging doesn't go like too far, like I think it does with like Titan or with or with the Abbot, then I think it's fine. So just expecting to run the chain once, and I do think maybe if they could change it to be like one per account, I don't know if that's required, or once per character ever, even if you TR not to lose your flagging, that I would be for totally.
Here, how about I meet you halfway on it? I would say that if the Strahd flagging was you had to do 3 quests, one from each chain, that would have been good enough. But if I come to your server and I'll say, okay, let's run some raids, like, am I flagged for Strahd? No. Go run 12 quests.
Well, if they could do it one per like account ever, I would be okay with that. Um, so yeah, but they're never. Anyways, they're never gonna remove like all flagging, especially for some that's been there forever. But it seems like they have gone in the direction that you like, because a lot of the new raids haven't required flagging. Dryad didn't require, like they didn't require you to run Dryad to actually have to run the Feywild chain. The new quest actually didn't require flagging either, or the new raid, I'm sorry, Hunter be Hunted. You don't have to run the quest to flag for it, even though there's only 2 of them. So I wouldn't be surprised if when the new expansion comes out this summer, if there's no flagging. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, this thread, I remember this thread back when it came out. It was like 2 years ago.
Oh, hey, hi there. I don't know if you can hear me through on the chat.
Yeah, I can hear you.
No, not you,
Oh,
chat.
the chat person. Yeah, kind of dumb question. I've been talking to you this whole time. Guac, hey, what's up? Nice to see someone in chat. By the way, I'll probably will put this on YouTube after we're done. So
Yeah, sure.
yeah, if you
You're
don't
warning me not to
care.
swear. What are you doing?
Let's see. Is there anything else that we want to cover? Is there any threads you want to cover, or any topic at all? that you can think
I mean,
of?
I have different topics I can just dig up and talk about,
Yeah.
but
Well, anything like happened recently or this week, or you could plan
uh,
that. You could plan that for next
no,
time.
I have topics, but I don't know how much. I
Okay.
mean,
We
did you
can.
ever?
Yeah, we can be. We've been talking for a while, so we can go ahead and end it, I guess. Um, if you want, we can go to the game, I guess. I think it would be appropriate to have a set of
Yeah,
quests
short flagging also.
run for flagging.
I was thinking there's a potentially take the idea of like flagging for Tower of Despair, where you have to run quests to get an item that then used in the raid. But I didn't like the item that they gave you because they gave you an item that takes up a slot. If they gave you like an item who takes up a cosmetic slot, but it would make sense story wise. You need to get this item to make this to do this raid. But again, you didn't have to have it. Just like the item, the raid for Tower of Despair, you don't have to have the item. I've soloed that raid many times and I never bring the boots because I keep on forgetting after I step in. I'm like, oh, I didn't bring the boots. And it's fine. You can make your saves. So you don't have to have it. But they're really trying to make you go flag by doing all the quests and getting the item. So maybe some kind of like a compromise where they're really trying to convince you to flag, but you don't have to if you really don't want to. Anytime where they make you you really have to do it, I kind of I just don't like it. But
Yeah.
I see, yeah, it might feel like it's necessary, but try to convince me if the story's that good that I want to do it anyways. Try to make it like that, or at least make the story make sense. Logically, that not just give me some plot armor why I can't get into the quest.
Yeah, we'll see what they do. Like I said, I think with the new expansion, my guess, considering what they've done, is probably won't require flagging, especially if there's only one raid. I guarantee you they won't. But maybe if there's two, but we'll see. Hopefully there's two raids though. I really hope there's two raids, not just one like the last expansion.